when I approached this label and they wanted to take me on, they told me, okay, you have a lot of music out, like not that many listens, let's just like remove everything and start over, get some old songs, redo kind of. So, and they told me, okay, you need to think of a new name, and we're releasing your first song in a couple of weeks. And I was like, okay, that's a lot of time, and like every name is taken. So anyway, but actually I had a list on my phone of some random like names, and JOON was one of them, and they replied within an hour, and then we had a call that evening, and it was 1st April 2020, so I thought someone was playing a joke on me.
April
I
Fools.
swear,
wow.
I thought that someone was playing a joke.
Happy New Year, Lost Ones family. 2026, we're coming in with a bang because myself, Jeanine, and Luc today, we have with us JOON. JOON is a local artist, but she is also now considered an international artist, and we're going to get into that a bit later on. But JOON is an artist and a producer. She has been in the scene for a while, so people that have been in the music scene and the underground scene specifically definitely know JOON's face. And we're going to pick her brain today. The new year starting off very strong with a woman in the house. So today we're outnumbering the men, which is great. Usually I'm always outnumbered. So yeah, let's get into it.
Well, hello, first of all, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
All right.
Excited. The new year is filling me up with energy and lots of questions too. You know, Christmas time always fills me up with some curiosity. So today is the day to really get into that, you know?
Exactly. I mean, I guess to be a bit chronological, we'd start with, so you were saying earlier, like you're a producer, like mostly you like to self-produce your own work and stuff. Like, how did that start? Like, where did you learn, or when, like what led up to it? Like, how was that?
Okay, so we're going back to the start.
All the way to the start, the beginning.
Okay, so I used to learn piano when I was a kid. And then when I was around 12, I decided to stop because I hated exams. But I loved music. So I remember being at university, 18, 19, 20, and I used to just always have headphones on, constantly listening to new music, new albums. I was just addicted to listening to music, but making music wasn't a thing. Even as a girl growing up, I don't know, I didn't. It just wasn't. No one encourages you to make music back in the day. And so anyway, I was at university, studied communications and sociology, and I was about to do a master's in human rights, and it was like summer holidays. But I had a car accident in the summer.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And a drunk guy drove into me, crashed into me. He was driving on the wrong lane, and my car was a total loss, and I felt I was really lucky, like I squeezed out of my car.
Oh, did you get away with any injuries though?
Well, my body was bruised, but I was extremely lucky. I was also very lucky because I was going to have a friend with me in the car. I was going to drive a friend, and then last minute he told me, actually, I found a lift with someone else, and I'm really happy that that happened. Wow. So I had this car accident, spent like a couple of weeks in bed, like bruised body, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna make music. Can I say fuck it on this podcast?
Okay. Of course. Alright, Funky can bleep it out later. Wow. Okay. So an actual accident led you to a happy accident of becoming...
it changed my life around.
Wow.
I realized a YOLO moment complete, like you only live once, so like what do I really want to do? And then I went through a depression after that. I was also going through a breakup, I remember. and I spent like months inside and just learning software. I got really obsessed with Logic Pro, and I used to stay in my room and
Good
just
software.
learn it, and started producing songs. Yeah. And then that's how it started.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
That's insane, though, the fact that something so big happened in your life that you were... How old were you when this happened?
I around 21, 22.
Okay, so it
it's
was a
like
very late
14
start
years ago.
into getting kind of into music or into the music scene.
Yeah.
And what did you start teaching yourself in bed besides, software-wise? Like, was it you just making beats? Was it something that you were just more obsessed with a certain sound, or you're singing? Like, what was the process there?
I wanted to do everything. I wanted to write.
Yeah.
I wanted to write songs, songs from the heart, songs. I don't know. I was a very shy person, mind you. I was a very different person, but I just wanted to write songs and like have control over the instrumentation, and wrote my own lyrics, sang my own way. I'm no pro. I didn't come from anywhere special. Like,
You're no pro, but you managed to make a name for yourself completely on your own within the music scene within a couple of years. Like, when did people start really, or when was the moment that you realized that people actually started resonating with your music that you started putting out there? Like, when was the moment of like, shit, people actually want to listen to this?
very good question, because I didn't believe in myself for a very long time, and I had like a lot of friends who really like pushed me. Among them, Ian Shrance of Bean Growers.
Amazing guy.
They gave me my first show, in fact.
Wow.
And like Stephanie Gallia, my best friend. So I'm not sure when I realized, because I remember when my music came out, at first I did have some kind of like, I did hear some, because I'm not a singer, and I used to like drown my voice in reverb and delay. So, I mean, I was just starting out very insecure. So, I don't know.
You had to kind of find a way around it to still be able to produce and make your own music while also trying to get through that. But what if I don't sound good?
Yeah. So I think it really hit me that people actually listen to my songs in the past. I don't know, maybe since maybe 5 to 7 years when I joined an American record label, because then I joined the label during COVID 2020. And that's where I kind of like, it gave me some sort of validation, I guess, at the time, where I was like, oh, okay, maybe I am onto something, you know.
Amazing. And where did the stage name come from, JOON?
So before it was Use, and then when I approached this label and they wanted to take me on, they told me, okay, you have a lot of music out, like not that many listens. Let's just like remove everything and start over, get some old songs, redo kind of. So, and they told me, okay, you need to think of a new name, and we're releasing your first song in a couple of weeks. And I was like, okay, that's a lot of time, and like every name is taken. So anyway, but actually I had a list on my phone of some random like names, and JOON was one of them. And basically it is a derivation from the Roman goddess Juno, who's the protector of women. And I was born in June. Also, my real name is really long, so I really like short names.
What is your real name?
So my name is Yasmin Koumizakis.
Ah.
So my surname is Greek, and I have this whole thing. Anyway, I'm not gonna go into
Anyone
that.
in the scene just knows you as JOON. I only know you as JOON, so this was like, what is her name? Okay, damn, wow. So that was a journey.
Yeah.
And how did you come across an American record label? Like, what even happened? Like, from like, I guess, making music in your room to like,
I'm on a label. Hey, mom.
record label. Yeah, did they just find your music on the internet? Like,
So, no, it was during COVID. I was bored, I guess. And I had been doing music for 9 years. I went to London to study sound design, started working in sound design. And I was working with a video games company doing sound and music for their games. And then during COVID, when we were working from home, I remember like I had quite a few friends along the years telling me, "Why don't you try with labels?" And I just never believed in myself that way. I was like, "No, as if who's gonna care?" And then I was like, you know what? I'm home. I'm bored. It's just an email. I'm just gonna try. And I had made a list of a few labels and some really tiny ones and then some bigger ones. And I emailed the tiny ones first. And then afterward, I was like, no, those are too big. I can't email them. And then an hour later, I was like, you know what? That email is there. I'm just gonna do it.
Exactly.
And I emailed the bigger ones, and one of them was this label that I'm on. Italians do it better. And they replied within an hour, and then we had a call that evening, and it was 1st April 2020. So I thought someone was playing a joke on me.
April
I
Fools.
swear.
Wow.
I thought that someone was playing a joke, or they had this joke. They were doing this joke between them. I don't know, but anyway, yeah.
Oh my God.
Was that a joke? Nice.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that was, I feel like all of your best like parts of your journey, the beginning, the part where you actually managed to hop on a label, all started out of boredom. In your room, you know, you were just like, so I feel, because this is the thing with musicians,
that's
I
very
feel like there's a lot of this overstimulation. You need to constantly be out there. You need to constantly be stimulating yourself, getting that creative flow. You know, you hear a lot of this talk of like, you just need to change environment. You just need to get inspired, go out, get inspired, write music. And it's a big thing within the industry. Artists feel the need to constantly be doing something wild and crazy to inspire a song, to inspire music, to inspire something, a project, whatever it may be. But nobody really speaks about how sometimes boredom and sitting inside and literally having nothing else to do is also the perfect way to spark that new concept.
That's so true.
You know, I mean, back in the day when there was no technology, I feel like we all used to just kind of play with pens and sticks outside, and that was the most creative games ever. And now the overstimulation has dumbed the generation down. I'm not trying to offend anyone, but you know what I mean?
Yes.
So with musicians, do you feel like that's something that you still thrive in? Do you still thrive in having a slow pace and then you create, or do you now need a bit more of inspiration to really create new stuff?
I mean, I go through cycles really. But actually, now that I think about it, I think boredom is a big one. Like I like a slow pace. I feel I am slow paced. I've accepted that because I used to be told, how can I translate that?
Oh no!
Like,
this is coming from schooling and education.
I know I can be a bit slow paced, but
it works in your favor.
I think it does. I think I'm okay with. I don't need the constant dopamine and. But anyway,
so it's a bit of both.
Yeah, I'd say it's a bit of both. Yeah, but yeah, I think a lot of my favorite projects came out of boredom.
Fuck yes.
Where I'm like, okay, like, no, what do I do? And yeah,
I think it's giving your mind that room to really process what happened, what hasn't happened yet, where you are, where you want to be, and then create that space to be like, you know what? Let me just allow myself to kind of see what flows rather than trying to be like,
yeah, I'm very much like that.
Create.
And when I force it, it just doesn't come out right with me, at least. I mean, I like to let things come to me, and I like being in the moment.
And what was your experience with the record label needing to change your name and having that entire kind of like process of, okay, this is real. Like, I need to now get on my shit. I'm creating a new name. I'm releasing music. Like, what the fuck is happening? What was that like? Because that must have been I would have been overwhelmed. Overwhelmed.
I mean, sometimes I still feel like I live in an alternate reality when I
Love
tour.
it.
It's like it's not real. Like
What the hell is
it's
happening?
very, very surreal. Yeah. Especially coming from this tiny island where these things don't happen, and for our underground artists, you know, it's just like, yeah.
Where was your favorite place to tour? Like, what was the most fun? Like, obviously, nothing against any of the other places, but like, what was the best experience?
Mexico.
You were touring in
They
Mexico.
love to have
What?
fun.
Another
They're
Oh my
continent.
so
God.
fun. They're so sweet.
Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico, 100%.
Wow.
They're great. Everyone's just singing and dancing, and I had technical issues, and everyone's like, "Whoa, no worries, we love you." it was
Oh my
like,
God.
yeah, very.
Were there people who actually knew your music down in Mexico?
Mm-hmm.
That must have been
It
surreal.
was surreal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How long ago did you go to Mexico?
This was 2023.
Would you go again?
Oh yes, 100%.
A heartbeat.
Yes, in a heartbeat, for
Wow.
sure.
Amazing. And all of this was done through the record label.
So, no, the record label releases my music, but then I have booking agents. I have one in the US and one in Europe. So my agents get me my gigs, basically.
Okay. So for those local artists in Malta, you think that the hype about actually signing with a label is real? Like, is it worth it?
I think it depends on the genre. Depends on the artist, really. I know artists that don't need labels. They can do it. They don't need it. But I don't know. Well, some others like will need the extra help. Depends. It's a tough one to just.
I'm going to switch it to local, okay, for a
Okay.
second before we keep on
Okay.
expanding, because I have so many questions about, like, you know, touring, going to the US as well, and being able to be an artist who's from a tiny island, and all of a sudden you're in front of thousands of people, foreigners, and you're just like, wow, people actually know my music. It's I can imagine it also did a lot of things for you personally and as an artist. But obviously in Malta, we're all very aware that record labels aren't really a thing. We have record labels by definition, but they're obviously not on a level where you can record in Malta. But then what? Do you think that there is that need for a proper record label here that can give you those same opportunities? Or do you think that in Malta it doesn't really work out the same way because we're so small? It's a bit of a tricky one.
It is a tricky one.
It is a tricky one.
You need to have contacts. You need to have if you have contacts.
Then you're kind of golden.
Yeah.
It's harder on the island, I would say. It's harder on the island. Doesn't mean that it could never happen, but I feel like those who've tried haven't fully managed to really get there yet.
Yeah.
But what was the switch between, you know, like hosting gigs in Malta and then hosting gigs abroad? Like, do you see the difference in support, even just from people in the industry and also the crowd?
Yeah. Even locally, I felt a difference as well.
Okay, in
I
what
had
way?
way more support when I started performing abroad. I noticed that which I
Bittersweet
understand.
feeling?
No, I understand it because I mean I was I was just Yasmin's performing again on Saturday. You know, it's like a normal thing, and then you're getting to tour and you're getting a bigger following, and it's like people were really happy and like they were hyping me up more because of it.
But did you feel that you were underappreciated in Malta before you managed to get the deal?
Not really. I don't know because it's such a niche. What I do.
No, it is.
I don't expect thousands of people to come watch me in Malta. I was happy with my 200 people. You know, it's fine. And plus, it was a different time. I just really didn't believe in myself. I swear, so I didn't really
think much of it.
No, I didn't think much of it. Yeah.
Fair. I mean, it is a tricky one. It's something that I feel like when you finally do something outside of the norm for your country, then you come back and it's like a bittersweet feeling of, wow, like they're appreciating me now, but what was it like before? You know? And I feel like a lot of artists feel like they need to get to that point. They need to get to a point where they go abroad and they make it to be able to really come back to Malta and make a living out of music. Do you manage to make a living out of like a full-time musician?
Not just music. I also do sound design. So I do sound and music for whatever really, theater, film, games. Yeah. So it's not just JOON. I also have my separate.
Okay, so a lot of different projects
Yeah,
happening at once.
all sound related, but yeah, it's not just JOON.
Okay, so let's go back now to you actually leaving Malta, right?
Okay.
So there was a time where you were based here, you were doing music for 9 years. You said, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna email some record labels. Was this before or after you moved to London?
After.
Okay, so when did you decide to pack your stuff up and actually make that move to London?
So after the car accident, when I decided to turn my life around, I decided to go study as well, study sound design. So I moved maybe a year after the car accident, yeah. So I spent a year working and applied the year after and moved from like 2012 to 2016, something like that.
Okay. And did that change in environment change the way that you looked at music? Because you said obviously before the car accident, you weren't really making music. So then after that, that gave you a new perspective on life of like, you know what, fuck it, I want to make music, I'm going to do it. Did the change of scenario and environment and even the people that you were around, because obviously in London, it's more of a fast-paced environment, but it's also filled with a lot more creatives and artists are everywhere, musicians are everywhere.
Yeah.
There are musicians that are managing to make a full-time living out of it as well. You think if you stayed in Malta, you wouldn't have had the same drive to just, okay, this is my time?
No, I needed to leave, mainly so that I could start building my own confidence and learn how to be comfortable in my own skin and start to understand who I am, even though I constantly go through this and I'm going through it right now. But but at the time, I was just so lost and I needed to figure out who I am and experiment and be comfortable experimenting, because I think in Malta I was very comfortable and just very shy, and I needed to go and realize that I'm nothing. And no, I needed to leave. And from then on, like I couldn't hold proper conversations. I used to struggle to hold conversations before I traveled. Like I was really shy. I'd be comfortable having a conversation if I'd get to know someone very well. Like I just met you guys today and I can speak to you. I was not like this.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
there was a very different Yasmin back then.
Yes. I needed to leave.
And did you enjoy it, or was it like, were you like dragging yourself through it, like this new experience, or was it just really fun, like once you got there?
Bit of both. No, it was fun, but I also I can be very nostalgic, and I missed Malta, and there's there's a comfort zone which you leave, and it's so yeah.
Is that why you came back? Like how come?
Why the fuck are you back here?
I came back for different reasons, for many reasons, but like 2016, I came back because I was done with London. I knew I was done. I didn't want to be there. And at the time, actually, I thought of moving to Berlin, but I came to Malta for a bit. But I was really loving being here. And I remember Funky Monkey had opened, because we were mentioning the place, and like seeing a lot of new bands coming.
The music scene started to emerge again.
Yeah,
back
and I was
then.
like, okay, like when I left, there wasn't this wasn't here, and I started to get work here, and so I was like, you know what, I'm just
Stars
gonna
are aligning.
Yeah, I'm just gonna try stay here, and so I stayed. And then when I started, when I got on the label and I had my agents, I started touring a lot. So that was nice because I had this sweet spot now where I can just like travel a lot and be here. And there's
it's like a home base. So you
as
just
that
go around
I
and
have
then
a
you get
home
reset.
base as that, and I can just like, yeah. So the time I knew I needed to, I do sometimes have these conflicting emotions about whether or not I want to be here and whether it's maybe, is it even good for me, for my career to be here? And I was thinking maybe going to Berlin or Amsterdam, but I just don't know yet. I'm right now I'm happy in my bubble in Bormla.
Exactly.
And
Bormla bubble.
yes, with the Bormla babes. So I'm just kind of
Bormla bubbles with the Bormla babes.
Yeah.
That's a tongue twister right there. Say that 5 times, Luke. Try. Do it.
I'll say it once.
Say it once.
Bormla bubble with the Bormla babes.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
He got it. Wow. But did you feel comfortable and safe as a woman traveling, and also not just traveling? So I want to split this into two, right? Because as a woman in the industry, first and foremost, traveling abroad, living abroad, it's a lot, right? So it's something that I feel like men can do a bit easier just because they are a bit more comfortable being put in those situations. As women, sometimes it does become more of a, we need to make sure that we are safe when we're doing these things, but also within the music industry. I mean, especially in Malta, you look at the scene now, you're saying that the scene exploded. You know, when you left, you came back, you're like, wow, okay, there's a lot happening now, which is very relevant and very true. My brother just came back from the UK, in fact, and he said the exact same thing. He was like, I left because there was nothing, and now it's like there's everything here. Like, there's so much. But there's still a lack of certain things. And I feel like women representation in the industry is one of them. We do see a couple of, women singing, women on the bass, women on the drums, which is fantastic, but still not as much as men. There's still a very large gap of kind of like the amount, right? Do you feel like you were affected by that in any way? Or do you think that was something that just kind of passed you by and you were just not affected by it at all?
When are we talking about?
Let's start with the traveling.
Okay, so I traveled alone. I felt pretty safe in general. I had to travel light, and I didn't really think about this with the traveling, about being a woman. Actually, I think.
Hell yes. Okay.
Or maybe I did and I don't remember. It's also a possibility.
Subconsciously. What about in the industry? Do you feel like it ever affected you, the fact that obviously you're a woman, not a man?
Yes.
Okay. Do tell. Spill the tea.
It's a different treatment. I've felt like I've experienced it. Like, even, for example, even when I lived in London, I used to gig with a guitarist. So I used to do acoustic versions of my songs, and I remember people used to think it's his music, his band, and I'm just the singer. This was very common. But I can, like, even I feel, or I have observed women having to be maybe more beautiful and sexy and
to get the attention of...
Yes. And I'm not sure if they get the right kind of attention because...
people focus on that rather than the music.
Yeah.
But I feel like women sometimes feel like they need to tie in both to really be successful. Mm-hmm. It's a hard one. It's a hard one because as a woman, I do feel like sometimes you need to work twice as hard. And I sometimes do think, not in all cases at all, but I do sometimes think that you're more prone to getting taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Were you ever a bit reluctant into accepting something either from your label or not even from the label that you're on now, even if it was other offers that you got or things that were happening on tour that had nothing to do with the label or the people that were taking care of it, but offers or situations where you had to kind of like stop and think twice and say, are they doing this to take advantage of the fact that maybe they think I don't know what I'm doing? Or maybe is it genuinely just me overthinking and you know, being a bit too...
You know, I'm a bit naive as well. I'm quite a naive person, so
You see the best in people, which is nice.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
I don't think that ever crossed my mind with me.
Okay, fair.
Also, maybe because maybe I feel like maybe I don't give as much effort and importance I would like to my appearance as much as I should. Or in the past, like I was thinking about the music. I didn't think about the way I
you
look.
look,
And so if that happened, I didn't realize.
Okay. But even in deals or anything like that, or certain things of like payment, or there was never a situation where you're like, am I being treated this way because I'm a woman? Or maybe is it just...
maybe the way maybe I've gotten spoken to, there's a certain tone, a certain, a certain tone and a certain way where you feel like you're less than. With converse speech, I would say I have felt that.
I mean, it is a very annoying conversation because as much as I am all for, women empowerment and making sure that women have a voice within the industry, I also hate these questions.
Yeah.
Because why does it have to be a factor? Why does gender have to come into the conversation? I feel like there will be a point where it becomes a bit more okay to not even speak about it, to not even have to say, like, yeah, but you're a woman or you're not, or you're a man or whatever. But I feel like there are a lot of things within the industry that happen that end up making artists feel like, am I being treated this way because they're trying to take advantage of me.
Wait, but as well, to be fair, would you complain like if you're a woman and theoretically this happens, but what's taking advantage of you? Because if you're saying some sexual
We're not talking about sexual harassment, no, because that can happen both to women and men, it doesn't matter.
Oh, they want to exploit the amount you're working. That's kind of good. Like, you'd be getting a lot of jobs. It's just advantageous, almost. If
I get what you mean.
Gonna happen theoretically. No.
I was thinking more of the other side of, for example, you're a woman, so she probably needs a ghostwriter, or she can't understand, like she doesn't understand what it means to be on tour to do things, so we need to get somebody to explain it to her. More stuff on that side of treating them differently than they would usually treat a man, or in the fact of like trying to take a bigger cut from certain things, because sometimes it is a reality for women to get a smaller slice of the cake than men.
These things could happen to anyone, to be fair.
Yes, no, 100%.
It's probably like
100%.
You could just get exploited by any employer in any industry.
Definitely, no, definitely.
Maybe it's more likely.
Yeah.
But maybe it's more the person as well, like men or women. Like, I think it depends. Like, if it's one of these really lawyery sort of people, they're gonna it's not likely. But then I think you said you're naive, you don't seem that naive, but maybe really, I don't know.
I mean, I don't I think I was lucky and I didn't really have bad experiences that way, and I have seen a rise of women musicians, so there is the positive. I'm not saying there isn't the negative, because I know people that have experienced these things.
Definitely.
So definitely it's there. In my case, I'm saying if it happened, I might have not realized.
You were just focused on the music though, but that's amazing. But you obviously, I mean, when did you actually start seeing income within your music? Because this is another point I want to go to when it comes to musicians being taken advantage of, right? We have a lot of musicians that are asked to do things, especially on the island, which is why I really want to pick your specific brain about it, because you've experienced making music here and also abroad, and not just for like a year, but you've lived, you've toured, you know, you've made music abroad and you've shared your music abroad, and you have, you know, a foreign following. It is a really annoying mentality, but there is a mentality here of do me a favor, or this gig would be for exposure. You had any of that before you started?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yes, so many.
What are your opinions on that? What are your opinions about how you would view taking certain things up for exposure and then, you know, drawing a line and being like, you know what, this is no longer for exposure. I need to get paid.
I think it depends where you're at. If you're just starting out and you need experience, like I didn't mind that at all. But yeah, and even like, for example, if it's friends, like I still do free gigs if it's friends,
Of
whatever.
course. But
charity.
have you still gotten approached like nowadays? Not friends, not charity.
I don't get it as much now
Okay.
these days. These days, I don't get that as much.
That's great.
I used to way more before. But now, not really. And yeah.
How do you put your foot down though back then? Like was
Back
there,
then,
yeah.
I didn't. I learned how to put my foot down now. Like,
Do you regret that though?
I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. I was a different person. I was. I when you don't believe in yourself, when you just say. I used to say yes to everything, and
Not think twice about it.
no, I would think, Ara, they want me to play, really, me, you know.
Wow.
So if you're in that mentality, it's easy to be taken advantage of. So I don't know. Anyway, but no, people don't really do that to me. Maybe because I have toured abroad and I'm on a label. Maybe there's something, I don't know.
There's respect to
Maybe
the...
there's respect. And I mean, I am able to say no and put my foot down now, but luckily I don't really have to do it much.
Amazing.
It's uncomfortable.
Wow. But it's a journey that I think a lot of musicians go through, having to go through all of the yeses and free gigs to get to a point of where it's like, okay, I think now I need to start saying no and actually start saying, listen, I need to do this against some kind of payment.
Exactly. When after time passes and you have your experience and yeah, you believe in yourself, I think that comes easier than to say no.
Okay. Well, definitely. But yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, I feel like.
Yeah.
But what's happening now? So obviously you've toured abroad. You're still working with the label. You're still writing new songs.
I am. I've been
Amazing.
working on my second album.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one.
Okay, when is this potential album potentially
know.
coming out?
I don't know. I don't know yet.
Okay. But that's good. You don't rush yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's done, but the plans are still being made.
Okay. What's different about this album? How did your sound evolve from your first album?
So for my first album, I did everything. Well, I produced everything on my own in my bedroom, then sent stems to the record label. The owner is also a producer and a mixer.
Okay.
So he then co-produced and helped me with the album, mixed it. So it was very much in my bedroom, sent to the US via email, and he's working in his studio and email, whatever, that's it.
Nice.
This time I went to a studio, and it was the first time I actually went to a studio, and I had real drums, I have a real bassist.
Ooh.
Yeah.
A local studio or international studio?
A local studio.
Okay.
And I worked with Capital K as a producer who is Have you heard of him? Have you heard his music?
Capital K. It sounds very familiar. That name is very familiar. But
Funky's
You
giving the
have
thumbs up.
You have to check
Capital
him
K.
out.
Funky will educate us soon.
You have
I'm
to check him out.
So,
okay.
okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
The
I
hand
was just
signs.
reading
It's
off the
sign language
screen.
back there. Capital K.
So
Okay.
so I worked with a producer in a studio. So the things kind of like more proper.
And how was that? I mean, it's very different from just doing it from your laptop at home and then sending it off.
I have to say I came a long way because I used to struggle to ask for help, and so I used to do everything on my own, and now being able to collaborate, it's just such a different experience, and it's so much fun. So, and I'm even seeing how I am able to let go of control. When I used to do everything on my own, I just had to have control over everything.
Yeah.
And being able to let that go and
Trust
work with
other musicians.
and work with people you admire. I'm really happy with this album. Very happy.
Ooh, I'm excited for this album now. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not happy that there's no definite date, but anyway. soon
Yes.
then. Amazing. And have you felt like this album is something that represents a different part of your life? I feel like obviously your first album, through my eyes, again, all of this is very, very objective, but through my eyes, it was introducing JOON.
Yes.
Who is JOON? You know, who is this artist and what does she have to offer? You know, it was literally you being introduced to the world. This second album, what part of your life or what part of your heart is in it? Because obviously you can't represent everything that you went through or everything that you're going through in an album. It
Yeah.
usually takes a lot more. But was this dedicated to a certain part or a certain part of yourself or a certain person?
Yeah, I had more of a theme for this one. So far, it's called "I Want to Lose My Mind and Never Find It," and it's
Wow.
basically it's 10 songs. Half of them are very much about the mind, overthinking, avoidance, control, fear, and then the other half are more about being in the heart and kind of like acceptance and letting go. So yeah, there was more of a theme for this one. Yeah, whereas the first album, it was just like a lot of old songs from different times of my life, just put into an album. So yeah.
And you think that they need to be listened to chronologically? There are lots of these artists that actually like feel like the experience is different. For example, I'm going to take one of the most basic ones so that everyone can really understand what I'm talking about. Dark Side of the Moon. When you listen to them chronologically, they literally sink into each other. And you can tell that they're taking you through a journey rather than when you're listening to them randomly. Is this the same concept?
I wouldn't say so.
No,
No,
so it doesn't need to
don't
take
have
you on that journey, but it can take you on
mean,
different places.
Yeah, I mean, chronologically, they are in a way kind of like 5 songs are about the mind, 5 songs are about the heart in that sense.
Okay.
But doesn't matter, I guess. I think.
Fair. But it's a very interesting take on switching something. So the way that you kind of want to first just, like you said, you just wanted to give the world your music, and now you're being way more thoughtful about what you're presenting. Did it bring up anything inside of you, like emotion-wise, where it was like, fuck, this was harder than I thought to actually have to put down on a piece of paper and reveal to the world? Or was it natural and organic for you?
With my music, I'm always kind of like, I am able to be myself or accept, or like, it wasn't that hard for me. I think a part of me really wants to help people kind of like heal through music as well. So, no, it came quite natural, I would say. I'm very good at being in the moment and kind of like letting things flow with music. So yeah.
And what about the activism in your music? There is a lot of, I'm not going to say political references, right? But you speak very openly about issues that I feel like are very close to your heart. Now, this is the first time I'm meeting you properly, so I can't really say that they are close to your heart or not. This is why we're here, to find out. But where did that insertion or injection of activism within your music come from? Was it something that it's just you speaking your truth, or it had a deeper meaning or message of, this is something that I need to speak about because I just need to do it?
Which song? What are you referring to?
So there are a lot of these very political, not political innuendos, but I feel like when you're actually through your album, you're talking about something deeper than what is on the surface level, right? So I don't want to pinpoint it as political because again, everything is objective.
Yeah.
But I feel like you speak about something deeper than what you're hearing. Are there these deeper messages within your music, or is it something that it's just like you're presenting something and that's the whole point of your music, where someone like me will take it to a, is this what she's speaking about?
I love that. Yeah, I love that. I love people like giving their own interpretation to music. I definitely don't want to. I don't want to say this is what the song's about and that's it. Like
that's right, because you don't want to actually pinpoint and say this was about this, right? Because then it just becomes like pinpointing it, and then it becomes more, I feel like you're planting a seed in somebody's head, when music should be the opposite of that. Music should be allowing people to have that freedom to really allow the plant or the tree to grow within what they're listening to.
And when I write, most of the time I'm not thinking about I don't say, okay, I'm gonna write about this. It's I just be. So sometimes I write something and afterwards I'm like, okay, what was that about? And through that I understand
yourself better.
myself.
Wow. Therapy.
Yeah.
It's real therapy. Amazing. You want to chime in, Luke? I saw you getting close to the thing, so I was like, he's about to ask something.
I had a thought a while ago, and then I was listening and it got lost. But actually, I know something, but it's kind of like, it's getting back. That's good. I forgot what they call it. It's a loop back or something. But when you said like, when you were like 21 or 22 and you had the car accident and then you started making music and all, you said like, you also said you sort of, what was it, like restarted or changed your, you know what I mean? You made like a new life. Like what were other aspects of that other than music? Like what was this like shift? Like what did you go for after? Like you said, maybe you got like depressed for a while, but then after that, like what was the shift other than music?
Yeah, leaving Malta was one of them.
I mean, kind of mentally though, like maybe in mentality, what was the, like this reduction of fear, but how did you go about it?
It was a very long time ago, 14 years ago.
Fair. I forget.
When
It's
did
so
you
hard
move
to
back to
remember,
Malta
maybe.
though? How long ago was it that you moved back?
2016. And then I was like between Malta and London for a couple of years, between 2022, 2024.
Did it shift anything within your artistic realm?
What I realized and what shifted, which I don't know, could be something a bit deeper than just music, is that I realized that I used to like leaving Malta to run away from myself and certain issues. So now I've been fully back for a couple of years almost. And I used to constantly think like, do I want to be in Malta? Maybe I should leave. I shouldn't be here. And now I'm at peace being here. So
wow. This is actually a question that we asked another guest as well. But I feel like I kind of want to ask it to you because I think this would also, you'd give us a different perspective.
Okay.
How do you feel, especially in your genre of music? It's like you said, it's a niche. So they're very specific people. And I feel like the people that come aren't just coming to say that they came out for a gig. I feel like they are coming because they really enjoy that music and they want to listen to it. Have you ever had scenarios where you're really enjoying yourself, but you realize that the people in front of you are just stuck recording you rather than enjoying the music? Or has that never been a scenario that's been the case during your tours or even your gigs in Malta?
I've noticed it. Yeah, I've noticed it.
Does it affect you as an artist on stage?
No, not
Okay.
really. I mean, it's the way they want to experience. I prefer real as a person. I prefer, yeah.
Being in the moment.
Yeah, but if that's the way they want to experience it, it doesn't really matter to me.
Okay. Interesting. You think meta glasses will save us?
Who?
Meta glasses. Imagine nobody had a mobile phone and everyone was just looking at you and actually experiencing it. And if they wanted to record it, it's just right there.
That's
I feel like
fucked up, though. That's like infinite CCTV everywhere.
Well,
like,
yes,
everyone's
100%.
just
But I
what-
feel like for the music
Can get
industry
hacked.
itself, seeing all of these videos online of people just recording artists, and then you have one
Yeah.
person who's just trying to be in the moment, but they have so
I've
many
seen
people
that
in
just
front
in
of them.
person.
Exactly.
Not maybe with the one person, but basically, like,
No, but you get
when
what I
see it, you
mean.
always
I
see
mean,
it,
I
yeah.
didn't experience that, like a wave of people with a. I haven't
Fair.
gotten there yet. So maybe if I get there, I'll have a completely different.
Very
view.
honest and like a straightforward question, right? Do you think you ever will get there, or do you want to get there? That I think that's more of the. Do you want to keep on growing the fame, or do you think you're satisfied with where you came and you don't? Because fame is a scary thing. As much as all of us, when you're in the music industry, especially, you chase it. You're like, you need to get somewhere. You need to have that recognition. That's how you know your music is making it. But then there comes a point where it's like, okay, shit. If I go any further than this, there's that fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Where are you as an artist within this part?
I'm quite a private person, and I like having being in my Bormla bubble with the Bormla babes.
Yes. That's gonna be the title of this episode.
So I'm already very happy where I'm at because I never thought I could be here in the first place. So a part of me is already kind of like, whoa, okay, I've done that. I met that person, I toured with that person, and so it's like it was a dream, and I already did. So I'm happy with where I'm at. That said, I don't want to be like main stage famous. It's not what I would want. Don't want to be in the public all the time.
But you
I don't want to be looking good all the time.
Yeah.
I want to feel fine without makeup and all this shit. And so,
but you'd still want to keep
but
on
yeah,
making.
definitely,
Mhm.
I want to grow more. Definitely, I'm not there yet. I want to grow more. That said, if I don't
You're not
think
gonna
I'll
be pissed about it.
No, I don't.
What do you
so.
think the next step is, though? So for somebody who has toured, who's with a record label, who is doing gigs now as well in their hometown, who has hits on Spotify and a following, what then is the next step? So for you, is it just continuing to release music, or is there something else where you're like, you know what, there is a new project or a new concept or something extra that I think I might want to do that might take me to another level? It's a tricky question because musicians, I feel like, face that question differently.
And I don't think ahead enough. I'm very like present or stuck in the past, but I need to start thinking more ahead.
And this is the time to do it on the last one.
Yes.
Existential crisis music. Imagine that's actually played. Do you have any existential crisis music, Funky? You've got a whole box full of buttons, right? No existential crisis music. So for the next episode, we're downloading that.
Sit around
Oh, he's
button.
looking. He's looking. Yes. You know what? That matches the face. Yep. There we go.
all I can think about right now is that I just hope I remain being true to myself and doing what I believe is good for me. And yeah, there isn't that one thing where I'm like, oh, I need to write a score for a film or whatever. I mean, I won't say no to that, but
You're open to the possibility of what's to
I
come.
think that's it. I'm just very open and I just want to be sure that I'm true to myself. I think that's it really.
That's a good standard to have, because it's like you want to do as many of the things as you can, but not at the cost of like trading in who you are or like betraying some core value just to get like quote unquote bigger or something.
Exactly.
Like you're doing so well as you, like in your truth. So why step out of that for what? It could even probably be worse. Like people probably resonate with it because it's honest, like I would imagine.
Yeah.
And you've collaborated with a number of artists too. So it's not always just been JOON. You've collaborated, for example, I'm going to take the man himself, Ian Trance, aka Bark Bark Disco. Known mainly, as you said as well, he was part of Bean Growers, still is part of Bean Growers. Those guys are amazing. And I think they are, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. They were one of the first Maltese musicians, among one of the first. We had a couple as well back in the day, like Gramod and a couple of others, Storace, that traveled abroad and really made a name for themselves abroad. In fact, I remember I had done an interview with Bean Growers once, and they spoke about the applause, that they weren't used to hearing applause in Malta, that they would play here and it's people are just listening and okay, I'm like, okay, cool. And then they went abroad and they played abroad, and that's the first time they ever heard a whole room of people clap. And to them it was like, what? And obviously that was before, that kind of culture and concept of, live music and people actually getting up and whatever came, I guess, to the island, or at least within that genre of music that they were playing. So they obviously were very experienced as well before, and then they came back to Malta and they did a lot. And like you said, one of the first people that you met that really believed in you and made you play live was Ian. How did that interaction then turn into, you know what, let's collaborate on music? Not just, open for me, or not just, I'll get you a gig, but let's do something together. How did that start? Was he your first collaboration, or was there something else before?
I think it might have been one of my first.
Ooh, he popped your cherry.
ones.
Amazing. So how was that experience?
Amazing. It felt very naturally, and I like get along super well. It was just very natural. I mean, when I started making music, I was considered like quirky and different, so I didn't really have much. I don't remember like
Lots
much
of people
support
to look up to as well within the industry.
But Ian had really liked my the way I write. So and I was a massive Bean Growers fan.
Hell yes.
And Bark Bark Disco fan. So to me it was an honor, obviously. But Ian and I, it just happened very naturally. We both kind of like really quirky, weird music. We both are quirky with our music. So it's kind of like it felt like we came from the same world, really.
What came after that? Were there other collaborations then that you really...
I did one with Bricconi, one with Brodo, Michael Azzopardi. I'm sure there are more and I can't remember.
Can't catch them all.
JCB.
Wow.
I collaborated with a lot of people actually.
And do you shift the way that you approach music when you collaborate with different people, or is it always you come in with your JOON mind and you give something to offer to theirs? Is it like an add-on to their music, or is it something where you're like, okay, so I'm approaching this very different because I'm collaborating, with a metal band or with a more of a rapper, or different things, right? Because you mentioned a broad variety, like, for example, Brodo are, I guess, what can we classify Brodo like? I wouldn't say heavy metal, but they are on the metal side, right?
Really? No, metal.
Well, no, what's the perfect term for Brodo? I have not managed to...
Indie, he's wrote.
Indie. But they're a bit heavier than indie, are they? Again, they're not metal, but I feel like...
a hip-hop album now as well.
Okay, all right. But even Brickuni, like these are bands that I
alternative
love because
rock,
you can't
indie
press.
rock,
Yeah, okay,
yeah.
okay. So again,
Alternative.
different to your kind of music, right?
Yeah. In fact, with them, they just kind of like they wrote the music and they just asked me to sing.
Okay,
So
all right.
I didn't really
So
have
different
much
approaches.
of an input there. With
What about
Ian,
the ways that you did have an input with?
With Ian, I used to I had produced some songs for him. We worked a lot together, a lot. And with him, it was very balanced. Actually, with Ian, it's very easy because, like I said, we come kind of like from the same world somehow. So it's like he used to send me stuff and I'd just be home, add my whatever I think sounds right, send back to him, and kind of like we'd do a back and forth thing. I think in the past, if I had to collaborate with someone else, I would probably let them take the lead. I think nowadays, I'm not sure. I think I'd be able to collaborate better these days, I would say.
And is there anyone who you really want to collaborate with, who maybe you haven't
Locally?
yet? Or internationally, both. Let's open the pond.
I mean, I love Fever Ray.
Ooh.
I don't know. I feel like I collaborated with my favorite people here, because even like Cher Camilleri, Dad BB, Hearts Beating in Time, who's now Dad BB, we're close friends. We collaborate a lot.
Is that why you wanted to move to Berlin?
No. It's because
Okay.
there's a good electronic scene.
There is, and they're doing amazing.
I performed there quite a few times, like four times, and
Wow.
and they were great. So I know that it's a good place for me.
Definitely.
for
We
my
have a lot of
career.
Maltese artists who are now in Berlin. We have Fake
they're really
Ophelia
good.
as well.
Oh yeah, Fake Ophelia,
So
amazing, and
there's-
Marta, that's Birthday Girl.
Exactly. Amazing
Yeah.
crew. I feel like Berlin is a place where there is this energy and this community that's really booming. Do you think that your, not life, but maybe your music would have been differently developed if you went to Berlin instead of London, for example?
Could be, yeah, because Berlin's more into like techno, a heavier scene. That said, as a person, I'm not I'm not that into like super heavy parties and techno. So I always liked like alternative music. So maybe I probably would have been more inspired.
different kind of
yeah,
June.
probably, but I don't think like too different. I
Okay.
think. Because even in London, there's a lot of like bands,
Yeah.
and I didn't even get into that, so who knows? I have done some more kind of like heavier tracks, which could have been more of a Berlin version of JOON, I would say as well.
Okay. Unreleased tracks?
There are some unreleased. Yes.
Will these unreleased tracks ever see
Yeah.
the dawn of
some
day?
of them will. Some of
Okay.
them, I'm not sure. I keep. I'm not sure.
What about your image?
Mm-hmm.
So we spoke a bit as well before about how you didn't ever feel like you needed to present yourself in a certain way, right?
Not that I never felt like I didn't need to. I just didn't know how to. I still feel I'm a bit lost there.
Is that something that you're actually exploring? Is
Yeah.
it something that you do want to represent yourself differently, or is it something that's more kind of like, why should it matter?
No, in a way, I would like to find myself in that sense. I'm just like when you're doing everything, I think some things are just like
Like secondary thoughts. What about even through your music videos?
Yeah.
Is there something that you are trying to portray, or is it something that you're more leaned towards when you say, this is how I feel like my music would look like? Because obviously when you're writing music, you know what it sounds like.
Yeah.
But then putting it on a music video and saying like, what would this track look like to me in my head?
Mm-hmm.
How has that process been?
For my first album, I directed most of my videos.
You
and,
directed them yourself.
most of them, yeah.
Amazing.
And though I think almost all of them, if not all, I
Because
came
they
up with
really
the
do
idea.
represent JOON and the sound. And I feel like with a third party, that might be harder to capture of
Yeah.
what is her music envisioning.
I mean, a part of that was like lack of budget and trying to save money. So probably
Classic.
if I had money, it wouldn't look like that at all. But I do come up with my own ideas for videos, and I really enjoy that. Like when I like listening to the songs and getting immersed and just kind of like imagining. So that is a big part for me. I love doing that. Wait, what was the question again?
That process of managing, don't worry, this happens so often, you have no idea. The process of managing to really envision what your music would look like and translating that to people.
The translation, I
been
think,
hard?
is translating is a bit hard. Envisioning isn't like I can
Envision
see
an
it.
entire movie
yes,
through a
yes,
song.
yes, and I love it. It's one of my favorite parts, like of the whole whole thing.
Wow.
It's just like getting lost in that. Translating it isn't super easy, I think. But yeah, it's okay. It's been fine, I guess. There were videos I wasn't happy with. There were some that I was happy with, but it is what it is. Like then it's just like people forget after a couple of days, so it's like move on now.
Fair enough. But I feel like it would be very hard to really envision, or not even envision, like you're saying, translate it into a visual.
Yeah.
Especially when music sounds different to you than it would to other people. When you
Yeah.
listen to your own music, when you're writing your own music, do you associate it with a specific feeling or emotion or a color? Like, is there a color to JOON?
Oh. I never thought of that. I mean, when I write, I'm just like, most of the time, I'm just going through sounds and whatever feels like good, feels right at the moment. I just like make a simple line, and then so I can't think of a color or
What's a line? Because like I thought
like
you
a
would mean
melody.
writing, but
For example, I'd have a synth and I'd just go through the sounds, and then when there's a sound that sounds right, like the way I'm feeling at that moment, like, okay, this is it. And then I just like write a simple melody. And this is how I write most songs. And then like very simple. I'm not a good pianist. So a simple melody, I loop it, and then I kind of like sing a vocal melody, and then kind of like the words come out with that melody. And
So the melody comes before the words.
for a lot of this for a lot of the songs, yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, because I get like, I kind of like adding the words with the melody to see that they sound, they fit right. It's like the melody inspires the words somehow as well.
So you've never woken up in the morning and had something just in your head, like words of like, this needs to be in a song. It's more mainly the melody of you're humming something. You're like, I need to add some texture to this melody. So it's always that way.
No, I have had that. Like I have had random sentences or words in my
This is
head,
the
or
next
an
song.
album title. Like I have a song called "Everybody Needs Therapy," and I knew I wanted to write a
Yes, they
song
do.
called that, and the words came later for that. But it's rarely happens where I think of a title. Like even I have one called "Hot Mess." I don't know. I was just walking with a friend and whatever, but most of the time it's not like that.
Okay. How the process of actually writing and finishing a song, to you, what is the most enjoyable part of that, and what's the most tedious part of that? Because it's a long process. I doubt you do all of this in a day and you're like, oh yeah, I'm done, cool. You know, I mean, it takes weeks or days or however long, because every musician is different, but you know, looking over it and changing things and saying or adding to it, and then taking a step back and going back and being like, I'm gonna change this. What is your favorite and least favorite part about making music, basically?
My favorite part is the beginning, this part that I was just saying, right, like figuring out the melodies and kind of like developing that when it's at its very early stages. I think the most tedious, if I can call it tedious, is probably like the mixing process. Because then once I have like a demo, I just want to finish it. Like I want it to be done, but then you have to go back and
all the fun stuff.
Yeah, the technical stuff is basically the tedious part for me. I like the creative part most.
Fair. And anything else coming soon, maybe? Any big projects besides the new album release, which we do not have a tentative date for yet? But is there anything else, like any projects that you might be excited for that might be like, okay, this might, you know, take my artistic journey in a different direction?
With JOON, I'm still like figuring out this album right now and where it's heading. I'm doing other projects. I have a side project called Bezzina, which is like where I write songs in Maltese. And I'm working on an album for that. And I think that will be fun. But
yes.
but for JOON, hard to say right now. Hard to say.
And has it been different, the process of writing an album in Maltese, and then obviously your JOON project, but has it shifted any perspective or maybe healed any wound inside of you that said, I didn't know that I needed to write in Maltese, but I am? Because you originally started writing in English.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, because I mean, obviously JOON is primarily English, so I'm assuming you started off with English and now you're transferring to Maltese. What was that like?
I mean, I have a couple of songs in Maltese for JOON, and I do find it harder to write in Maltese. English comes more natural. I feel it's easier, and I feel like it's harder to make Maltese sound good.
But so many bands do it, and I don't know how.
So many. It's true.
Like it's insane.
True.
Like we just mentioned, bro, the Bricconi. It's like how do you make it?
They cracked it.
My God, even Struppau. It's like even though the lyrics are so vulgar and so, you know, Dlam Chappari Hatachara, but they made it sound so good where it's like, wow, I need to listen to this on replay.
Yeah, I think it took me a while to get to this place where I'm happy with writing in Maltese. But yeah, it's a nice process. It's somehow, and even maybe the subject of this album maybe is even kind of like more personal than what I've written for JOON. So it's been an interesting process.
Why do you say like written for JOON? Do you have a different name for this? Like, is it?
Yeah, it's called Jeanine. It's like
that's your name, not the album.
No.
It's a different project.
It's the different project is called Jeanine.
So it's like a Maltese alter ego.
Exactly, sort of? And I had started this when I was at university in London because I was like covering Maltese like traditional folk songs with like misogynist lyrics, and so it was quite political actually before Jasmine, and maybe that's where the activism maybe came out
leaked
more
into
than
JOON,
more,
you know, subconsciously, and they're like, okay, I can see something happening
it's
there.
interesting because the activism is not like for
it's
JOON,
not
it's not like direct.
there. No, not at all. But you can feel the undertones there. Like, is she talking about something else, or am I just completely like in my own head about it?
No,
but
I'm happy.
But with
Jeanine, it was more direct, and but before I used to cover songs, and I covered one. I had one about the environment as well. Mary Rose Malia song, Bezzina Tal-Wart.
Oh, wow.
The background music was actually like I had recorded like construction sounds, and I sang Bezzina Tal-Wart on some like really ethereal, just like voices on like construction
When is
noise.
this being released?
That's out already.
It's out?
Yeah, this is decided
Guys,
like
Jizamina.
years ago.
I'm gonna go and blast this in my car on my way back. What?
But
That's
with this
insane.
new one, with this new one, I'm actually writing my own songs, but using like samples of like folk Anna guitars, a lot of Maltese samples, and then so again, I'm not like with this. It's more inspired by samples rather than writing my own melodies. I do write my own melodies, but it's kind of like comes after the samples, and they're more personal songs. About darkness, death, and light.
Wow.
Anyway,
Back
That
to the
sounds
roots.
interesting.
Does.
Yeah.
Amazing. Where did the name come from? Jizamina.
It's Yasmin in
Exactly,
Maltese.
but that's what
Jeanine.
Yasmin in Maltese is. I thought it was like Yasmin. Okay, yeah, Jizamina. That makes sense.
Jasmine.
Oh, yeah.
Jasmine flowers.
I love how we're both like, what? What moment? Exactly what just happened in my brain. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. Jizamina, beautiful. Wow. And so simple. It's literally just you representing your Maltese side and going back to your roots and keeping it so simple and just going, yep, this is me.
Yeah.
Uncut in Maltese.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, June. I'm not sure if you
Thank
have
you.
any wanting to pick the last few tips of the brain there.
No, I think this has been good. Like,
It's been amazing.
was fun.
Yeah.
But, like, honestly, and your story is like insane. You know what I mean?
I started
went
making
on
music out of a car
like,
crash.
A long journey of it, yeah. And I think it's kind of inspiring as well in the sense that you come a lot across of these like. I think it's even really pushed in the big media or the big music or what, where they try get someone who would be in the age range literally like 13 to 18, 13 to 20. And they get like someone really young and make them really big. Like in the rap, you see it a lot, where it's like, and they've just been praised and hyped to it. And then when I would see that, like, already slightly older than them at a very young age or the same age as them, and it would like kind of put you down. Then you think, oh, someone decided in their 20s, you know, you're like, it inspires me, you know, like, because you still had really a large measure of success and you weren't like, and it's not an option for everyone. Sometimes it's like, you know, I think you sort of, it's either luck or you really need to be put into it to start at a young age. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe it's people's personality, but it just gives me hope. Like, right, if I have a hobby, I could start it now. It's not like too
Definitely.
late, you know.
Never
like,
too
for
late.
anyone.
It's never
There are
too
people
late.
in university who are 70 years old and they're doing
Yeah.
great, you know.
Yeah.
It is never, but
And
he
they're
does
so interesting.
definitely.
They have something to say.
Exactly, but I get his point of the music industry. There is this thing of, oh, you need to start out young to make
Yeah.
it. If you didn't start out young, then you're not gonna make it. When in reality, that's not the case at all, and it's very
Yeah.
inspiring.
I mean, it worries me sometimes. I do think, am I too old for this now? But, you know, so far I'm managing.
Hell yes. Well, thank you so much for coming on, having a chat with us.
Thank you.
Giving us your life story. This has been amazing because I've known who you are as an artist, but I didn't know who you were as Yasmin. You know, I didn't even know your name was Yasmin. So, you know, we explored that side and we explored June and really went into depth of like who June is, where did it start, where is it going, and it has been amazing. Thank you. This has been
Thank you.
the
Thank you
last
so
ones
much.
with June.